Welcome back, Ceramics 2. In this video, I am going to show you how to make another variety of lid called a rose lid. It looks like this. Okay. In previous videos, we've made a flat lid. We made the inset lid. We made the dome lid. And now we're going to make a rose lid. So a rose lid looks a little different. It has the overlapping edge here on the outside, and on the inside it has a flange that can fit inside of the jar. Okay, so I could make just a simple jar like this, and then I can make a rose lid that's going to come on the outside and fit in like that. Okay, so step one, you're going to need your jar finished piece of green, leather hard, right? As you take it off the wheel, make sure to measure that inside cavity so that you're making sure your flange on the inside actually fits. So take your measurement, write it down in your notebook or on a piece of paper so you can reference what the wet size of your clay was, because obviously once it's bisqueware or even once it's greenware, that size is going to change and be different, right? So this is going to be a two-walled shape, all right, and you can see how we've got the inside rim and the outside rim. All right, so starting with approximately a ½ pound of clay, clementine size chunk of clay, we're going to get started. Okay, center it up just like you normally would. If it's a little bit weird because there's not a lot of clay there, I will frequently center with just my fingers for small lumps of clay. And instead of using my left hand to comb the clay, I'll just use my left hand to hold it in center, and I'll actually do the moving of the clay with my right hand for coning. And then as I press down with my left hand, the clay is so small, I can just hold that in center, and I can just use my fingers at the outside for the centering bit. Okay, so there's our centered lump of clay. Then you're gonna open the clay just like a bowl. All right, so you're gonna go down, leave yourself about 1/4 of an inch, just like you would if you're going to pull a cylinder. And then as you pull out, you're making, think like you're making a super thick-walled T-bowl. All right, so I've got my T-bowl size shape here. Now, I'm going to compress this rim real good, like that, and leave myself enough clay to work with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece of clay in half. So I'm going to hold my left hand on the inside, right hand on the outside, and use my index finger to kind of just slide that piece of clay into. Now, if we've made the juicer yet, just like the juicer. If you haven't made the juicer yet, then this will be good because you'll know how to make it once you do. But basically, I'm going to cut this into 2 walls. So now I've got the inside wall and the outside wall. All right. Now this inside wall needs to be a nice cylinder that's going to fit down into that empty shaft of our jar, whereas the outside one is going to bowl around. So this inside needs to be just a bit wider so that it makes a nice solid fit. So I'm going to slow my wheel down to a throwing speed, take it off centering speed there. I'm just going to take this, pinching on the inside, I'm going to pull that center up. I'm going to compress it so it's nice and flat and solid, and I'm just going to widen it a bit. I'm going to check my measurement. Okay, it can be just a little bit wider. I would err on the side of a little bit smaller on the inside just to make sure that it's actually going to fit, rather than making it too wide and then not having it fit. You want to have it just perfect so the lid doesn't wiggle back and forth, but it's better if the lid wiggles back and forth just a bit on your first try rather than not fitting at all, because then you have to make it all over again. Okay, it's still just a little bit too skinny, so I'm going to widen it a little bit more. check the size. And that is perfect. All right, so now I've pulled that inside cylinder. I've made it wide enough so that it's gonna fit right in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna taper it ever so slightly. Meaning, it's gonna be coming in, you know, on a trapezoid angle. So when it fits down, the top of it fits well, and then the higher up it goes, it gets snug and has a nice solid fit to it. All right, so that even if this little rounded part down here is not perfect, the outside edge up here is going to be what you really want to be measuring and making sure that that part is going to fit. So when it gets down to the bottom, it's going to have a nice snug fit. Now that we've got that bottom piece figured out, I'm going to grab the outside and just like throw a little bowl shape, like so. Compress the rim. And now you've got, excuse the bell please, now you've got the inside flange that's going to fit inside the rose lid, and then the outside flange is going to fit around the outside. All right, and we'll come back in a separate video for trimming, and basically all you need to do is trim the top round. All right, so when you're done, you know, make sure you have a bat prepared and ready for you, and that you are able to slice your lid off. If you need to, you can use the lifters like I've shown you in the other videos and lift this off and try not to damage it too much so that when you put it back on the wheel to trim, it's easy to get back on center. Okay, thanks for joining me for how to make a rose lid for a jar in ceramics class.